Hi, it's Doc, and welcome to my first installment of my Tune of the Week series. In this series, I'm going to attempt every week to put out a series of lessons on a different tune or song in the sort of roots music genre. So something from bluegrass or old time or folk, country, blues, anything like that. And I'll be teaching a couple different ways to play it, a couple different techniques, how to solo, how to play the melody, how to play the chords. We'll be doing some claw hammer and some two finger style as well. And this is the first one. We'll be doing the song "Cluck Old Hen." Okay, so before we start, I have a separate playlist. It's called Tune of the Week Cluck Old Hen Supplemental, and it's going to have some stuff in there to get you started here. There's a couple tabs in there for all the scales and all the chords that we'll be using in all the Cluck Old Hen lessons. So if you want to get ahead of the game and familiarize yourself with them, you can check out the tabs in that playlist. There's also a few recordings of the song. You should go out and check out the song Cluck Old Hen, also old or ol, O-L. Great old fiddle tune. There's probably hundreds of recordings of it. So go YouTube or whatever and Spotify and try and find some good versions of that. But if you just want to listen to it right away, like I said, I have a couple versions in that playlist. So this is the first installment. All the lessons are going to be free. I do have a link to my Venmo account in my YouTube profile. If you do want to drop a tip, they're always appreciated because I don't get paid to do this. It's just for fun. But let's get started. So, like I said, it's Cluck Old Hen. What is that? It's a classic banjo or fiddle tune. It's common in a couple different genres, mostly bluegrass, old time, and folk. There's a separate video if you look in the Tune of the Week playlist that talks about the history of the song and the music theory that sort of informs how the song works and what's going on in it. So if you want to check those out, feel free, go click on them. But if you don't care about that stuff, it's not important, or maybe you already know it, because it's a lot of it is common knowledge. Then let's just get on to the lessons, okay? All right, so you should have a little bit knowledge of the ukulele before you start this lesson. All right, you should be able to play a couple chords. This isn't a complete beginner series. It's a beginner series, but it's not a 101, a step one series. So you do want to make sure you can play at least A7, G, A7, G, and probably A minor too. We'll be getting to that in the later lessons. And if you don't know how to do that, check out some other lessons from some other great ukulele teachers. And I do have a lesson on just chords. It's called Quick Chords. It's a series of little short lessons. There's a playlist of it if you want to check it out. Most of the chords that we're playing will be covered there. So if you want to go ahead and do that, feel free. All right. So moving on, when we do this song, you'll notice that I'm using a pick. All right. So that's not standard for ukulele. Most people don't. I would say it's probably in the minority people who use a pick. But it's gaining popularity, and a lot of people say you can't use a pick with an ukulele, and that is quite frankly BS. It's fine if you don't like it, you don't think it sounds good, but to say someone shouldn't because it's bad for it is 100% completely wrong. A lot of people say it's bad for the strings, which isn't true. It can be bad for the ukulele body because ukuleles don't have a pick guard. So if you're down strumming and you're hitting the body a lot, after a long time, that will scratch and wear it away. Case in point. Willie Nelson's guitar Trigger didn't have a pick guard. He played it with a pick. He wore a hole in it. But that can be easily avoided by just not hitting the body. All right. So like I said, I use the pick style for this style of music usually. But I'll be using a couple different techniques in this video to try and cover the gamut of what everybody uses. There's going to be separate videos for claw hammer and the two finger style. So check those out. In this video, in this core series, we're going to be learning pick style primarily, but we're also learning index pick, which is probably the most common type playing that people use. We'll be using thumb strum, and we'll be using pima, or classical guitar ukulele style. It's when you're using these three fingers and your thumb, sort of like this to play chords, and then you use these two fingers to play melodies. So even though it's primarily pick style, I'll be going all over those styles as well, at least a little bit. So anyone who primarily plays those styles will get something out of this lesson as well. And, you know, if you play some style that I've never heard of or I don't know about, that's cool too. I mean, I'm sure you can still adapt this. I'm teaching you the chords, I'm teaching you the melody, I'm teaching you some ideas. So, you know, just because you can't use my technique doesn't mean you can't use all the cool stuff that I'm doing. Oh, man, I dropped my pick. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. So like I said, we'll be learning pick style, index strum, thumb strum, and pima. And then separate lessons for claw hammer and two-finger style. Okay? All right, so we'll start the song. You heard it in the beginning, but I'll just play a couple bars of the chords right here. So, you know, the basic song goes, cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid an egg since way last spring. Cluck, old hen, cluck and squall, ain't laid an egg since way last fall. My old hen, she's a good old hen, she lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two, that's enough for the whole dang crew. All right, so you get the idea. This version of the song is in the key of A mixolydian. All right, you may have never heard that before. Maybe you're just used to hearing A major or A minor, but there are other modes of the major scale, like mixolydian, Dorian, Lydian, Locrian. Like I said, I have another video on theory that'll get more into that. But basically, there's two versions to do the song: in a major key, A mixolydian, or a minor key, A Dorian, and we'll be doing it in A mixolydian, which is the fifth degree of the D major scale. So the fifth mode of D major is A mixolydian. But you don't really need to know that. Just know that the chord will be A and the second chord will be G, as opposed to the Dorian version, which uses A minor. Right? Okay. So, like I said, we'll be playing in an A mixolydian, which means we'll be using A or A7, right? So as you just saw, there's really only two chords to this song. There's A or A7, so 2.5 chords, but A and G. So that's really all there is to this song, all right? This is repeated, this phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 bars of 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's repeated one more time. That's repeated once for the verse, and then they do it again for the chorus. Or the A part and the B part, we say a lot. Instead of verse and chorus like you have in pop music, we have A part and B part. So this song is basically an A-B format, or depending how you look at it, an A-B-B format. All right, so we have 16 bars of 4 bars each that are grouped into groups of 2. So basically 8-bar phrase, 8-bar phrase. Yeah, that was a little more complicated than I needed to say. But okay, the basic of the song, the basic way we're going to learn the song is we're going to use the island strum first. Now, you're probably familiar with the island strum already, but if you're not, it's just the basic kind of stereotypical way people play the ukulele. It sounds great, and that's why people do it, but like if you know, if someone's, it's like islandy music. It sounds like this. This is a variation of it. So we're using, that's kind of, it's nice because it's got a nice syncopation, but it's also fairly straightforward. It's very much like a Latin clave type rhythm. So we'll be using that for the chords. So we saw that the first part is A. We're going to be playing that for, then it goes to G. That's the phrase, and like I said, that's repeated 3 more times after that for a total of 16 bars. So, cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid an egg since way last spring. Cluck, old hen, cluck and squall, ain't laid an egg since way last fall. My old hen, she's a good old hen, she lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2. Real slow, it's going to be, the accent is this. So if it's Right, so if we count this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, the rhythm of this is going to be da 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 da. Got that? Pardon me. Or with A and G, da. Got it? So you should be so go ahead and practice that. I told you about the supplemental playlist I have. Also at the end of that, you're going to see some backing tracks that I made in iReal Pro that you can use. If you have your own backing track app, great. I recommend Strum Machine or iReal Pro, but anyone that works. But if you don't have one, just go into that playlist and click on one of the backing tracks labeled Cluck Old Hen in Mixolydian mode. There's some that are labeled Dorian mode as well. You want the ones labeled Mixolydian or Major. And there's going to be a couple different options for BPM or beats per minute, how fast they are. Go with the slowest one to start with, which I think is 120, and then you can move up if you want to. Or you can just practice with the metronome or on your own if you don't care about playing in time right now and you just want to have fun. That's cool too. We can move on to the song. So if you're feeling comfortable with strumming it, we are going to move on to the melody, okay? So the melody of the song is very simple, very straightforward, very memorable. It's using the minor pentatonic scale. So I talked about it in my other video on theory and history, but basically this song's built on blues tonality, or the combination of minor sounds and major sounds. So even though we're playing a major chord, the melody uses that minor interval right there, not the major interval. But it works. It sounds great. That's the rule of music theory. If it works, it works. If it sounds good, it works. All right, so we're going to learn the melody two different ways in this lesson. We're going to be going over some more advanced ways in a future lesson. But right here, we're just going to be learning it two different ways. First, in open position, and then moving up the neck a little bit into second position as well. But right here, we're going to learn it in open position, okay? So, you know the song by now. You've heard it enough times. It goes... Got it? All right. So, like I said, check out the tab if you want. It's in the supplemental playlist. It's a MuseScore interactive tab, so you can listen to it, hear it playback if you want, shift the key, or you can just download the PDF too if that's your jam. So real quick, we'll go over it real slow so everyone can learn it. All right. So, like I said, we're starting with pick style, so I'll start that way, and then I'll demonstrate it a couple different ways too. Okay. All right. So, first note is going to be open second string. Alright, boom, and then open first string. So we've got easy, right? Third note, you're going to take your ring finger and it's going to hit the third fret of the second string, okay? That's the third note. So we've got got it? All right. Now, the next phrase is going to be very similar. It's going to start the same. Instead of going here, we're going to be going to the second fret of the second string. So far we've got my old hen, she's a good old hen. Alright, now we're going to repeat the first part again. Yeah? So we've got... Now hit this note. So we've got... to this one. Ba. Now real quick. Ba. Open string, second fret, second string, open string, open second string, and then second fret, first string. Sorry, this is the third string, and this is the fourth string. I screwed that up. All right, so open third string, and then second fret, fourth string. So so far we've got. Right? All right, so that's the phrase, and that's just repeated again for the verse. So it's. So that's the A part. Got it? Now we're going to learn the B part, okay? It's even easier, in my opinion. So it's going to be second fret, fourth string. You're going to hit it twice. Then up to the open third string. Right? Then you're going to hit this second fret, fourth string again. But now you're going to go below. You're going to go to the open fourth string. So far in the B part, we've got... Got that? Cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid an egg. So we're going to go do, 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 and then we're going to use that phrase again from the A part. So far the B part goes... Second part of the B part, you're just going to repeat it again. Just like the A part, it's the same phrase. Do, 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 mud and quail, ain't laid an egg since way last fall. Cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid an egg since way last spring. Boom. That's the song. That's it. So let's play it real quick on pick style before we get into a couple different other styles. So we've got... Okay? That's it. All right, so now we've got the chords. And the melody, and we can do them both pick style, right? All right, so now let's learn a few other kinds of styles, okay? All right, so similar to the pick style is both the index style and the thumb style. They use the same principle. So once you get comfortable with that, you don't really need to wait for a separate lesson. You can probably just watch how I play with the pick and do it this way. But to demonstrate with the chords, generally you want to strike it so your index finger is hitting the strings when it's going down, and then I have my pad sort of hit them on the way up. Some people just use the index finger. A lot of people will stabilize it with their thumb right here. Or some people will use this style and add their whole hand kind of like this. It's the same principle, but yeah, index finger. Boom. So to do the chords with the index finger, you're just going to go... Easy. All right, and it's the same with the thumb. The thumb works basically the same principle as a pick. odd man out is the Pima style. So we're going to learn that. In this style, you put your thumb on the lowest string right here, and you have your other 3 fingers right here. Pluck these ones. You want to try and get them so they're all at the same time. Although this isn't a lesson on this style, if you're watching me do this, it's because you already play this style and you want to know how to play the song with this style. So, real easy. It requires a little bit more work than the strumming, but basically... plucking the strings. Alright, so we've learned it. Pick, index, thumb, and Pima. Alright, those are the chords. Now we got to do the melody, okay? So, like I said, pick style is basically the same as index style and thumb style. So, play the melodies those ways, just do the same thing, but instead of using a pick, use your finger or your thumb, alright? Thumb. Like I said, easy. Right now we're going to learn it Pima style. Now, the way you play chords with Pima is with all the fingers, right? The way you play melodic lines oftentimes is with just these fingers, sort of like walking bass style. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just keep alternating these 2 fingers. You're not really going to be plucking, you're sort of going to be scraping against them and sort of moving them. But let's go over that real quick. It's real easy. Just start with your index. Got it? Alright, so go ahead and practice that with whatever style. Make sure you can play the melody that way. And now we'll move on into a more advanced way of playing the melody. Not necessarily a more advanced way, but a way that is often more open to variation, okay? So I'm going to go back to pick style here. We're playing it primarily in 2nd position, where our index finger is over the 2nd fret instead of the open position we were playing it in before. So now instead of going... going like this. I guess that part's still the same. Alright, so this just lets us play around with it a little bit more, and you'll see later why this is important. But let's go over this real quick. So it's the same exact melody, it's the same notes, we're just playing them in different spots on the neck. So first, take your middle finger, no offense, and put it on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Alright, that's the first note. That was the same as this one over here. I like to slide into it, so it's basically... So make sure you can play that. We'll try it the other ways. And then this way. So like I said, this is all in the tab, so go through that. Make sure that you're not struggling with the melody or the basic chords before we move on to the final part, or the next part of this lesson, which will be a little variation on the rhythm, okay? So like I said, go back and practice that, and when you're done or you feel comfortable now, let's continue, okay? So we're going to go over real quick just an idea on how to vary the rhythm. So there's this thing called the boom chuck. You might have not heard that term before, but you've definitely heard the boom chuck. Sometimes it's called the boom chick, or there's lots of other names for it. But basically, it's this style of playing. Originally, it was on the banjo, then the guitar. It's thought of as on the guitar right now, and we're going to emulate it on the ukulele. But basically, it consists of just going like this. On the one, you hit either the bass note or some single note or a couple notes, and then on the two, you just strum the full chord. So 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, or 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. My old hen, she's a good old hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two, but that's enough for the whole damn crew. Oh, cluck, old hen, cluck and sing. Oh, ain't laid an egg since way last spring. Cluck, old hen, cluck and squaw. Ain't laid an egg since way last fall. See? Easy. Alright, so we'll try with the index. Easy, and the thumb. You notice you can get different sounds from your fingers if you use the fleshy part or the nail. And then finally, we'll do it Pima style. We're going to have to do it a little different for this. This way, in my opinion, doesn't have quite the same drive, but it works perfectly well, and it's actually very similar to what Lester Flatt and Mother Maybelle would do with their version of it. Maybelle called it the Carter Scratch, or they called it the Carter Scratch after her. And of course, it was all an imitation of the claw hammer banjo rhythm. I think that's what she based it on. Hers became standard in country music, and then Lester Flatt really made it ubiquitous with bluegrass, and then every bluegrass player started doing it, but most bluegrass players do with a pick. All right, back to Pima. So you're basically going to do the exact same thing you did before, instead of plucking all the strings at the same time, you're obviously going to do the thumb first. So do-da, do-da, do-da. My old hen, she's a good old hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two. That's enough for the whole damn crew. Oh, my nail got stuck. I need to trim them. But boom. So that is the boom chick. Boom chuck, boom chick, scratch, whatever you want to call it. That is going to be the main rhythm for almost all of bluegrass, a lot of country, a lot of that. So go back and now practice the song that you were practicing. You were practicing it before with the island strum. Now go back and change it so that you're playing it with the boom chuck. So play along with the recordings and make sure that you get comfortable with that before you move on, okay? All right, so if you're feeling comfortable with the melody, and you're feeling comfortable with the chords, and you're feeling comfortable with the soloing ideas, then you got to put all that together, right? So go back to the backing tracks and keep playing over them, each part, till you get them fluent, come up with some good ideas. If you are feeling complacent, move up to the slightly faster backing track. And if you're feeling good about that, then you got to tune in for the next lesson. The next lesson is going to be going more over the boom chuck. We'll be learning some different variations like or some more classic, really classic old time country style guitar. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.